Okay, welcome back. This is looking at latitude. Latitude is all about the degrees either side of the equator going up to the northern hemisphere, to 90 degrees north, and down to the southern hemisphere and 90 degrees south. So we have this parallel lines separating areas of the earth based on the equator. And when you're looking at the latitude and the earth itself, the shape of the earth is actually called an oblate spheroid. It is a sphere, a 3D circle, but the oblate spheroid refers to the earth being a little bit wider than it is taller, so about 40 miles difference. That's due to the spin on the axis and the gravitational pull on the earth. Now, when you look at the equator, it separates into the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, and we get these divisions, these areas of the tropics through the middle, the equatorial region, the tropics, the mid-latitudes, and the polar regions. So the mid-latitudes are between 30 and 60, the polar between 60 and 90, and the tropics between 30 and 30, or basically between 23.5 degrees either side of the equator, which is the Cancer and Capricorn tropics. And then we have the Arctic Circle at 66.5 degrees north, and the same thing with the Antarctic Circle, which is 66.5 degrees south. So we have these divisions, these lines, that are all based on pretty much the solar insolation and the energy we get from the sun, and that creates our climate, our weather patterns, our surface heat, our atmospheric heat, the transfer of energy, the fluxes, and it all basically kickstarts our climate mechanisms around the whole world. So the equator is pretty much always has direct concentrated sunlight due to the shape of the earth and the angle of the sun and the spin, whereas the polar regions, north and south, they have a more severe curve to the surface of the earth. So when the incoming radiation comes in from the sun, it's going to be spread out more over this large area and be less concentrated and have less of a direct hit. So it'll be colder. So the poles, the Arctic and Antarctic, the northern polar region and southern polar region, will be generally colder all year round compared to the equator. So there's a difference in heat between the equator and the poles. And the mid-latitudes, well, they're stuck in the middle. They are in between the cold air from the north, warm air from the south, or vice versa. In the southern hemisphere, the warm air from the north or the cold air from the south. And there is a mixture of temperatures based on the latitude. So where you are on the planet compared to the equator or the poles, that'll dictate your wind direction, wind temperature, weather patterns, and general heat. So in addition to the latitude, you also have the Earth on a tilt. So the axial tilt or inclination is 23.5 degrees currently. And what happens is this is going to cause the Earth to be positioned differently as it revolves around the sun based on the tilt. So the northern hemisphere will tilt towards the sun in its summer versus the southern hemisphere will tilt away in its winter. So it'll switch when it goes around different parts of the orbital position, and that will create, with the latitude as well, the amount of seasons you have, the severity of the seasons, and the duration of the seasons. So if you're in the mid-latitudes here, between 30 and 60, both north and south, you're going to have a mixture of seasons, maybe even 4 seasons, where you have the spring, the autumn or fall, winter and summer. And then with the equator, you're going to have more single seasons or wet and dry seasons, but the very consistent temperatures all year round based on the location and the solar insolation. Then you have like the Arctic and Antarctic circles, the polar regions, where you have these extreme seasons of extreme full summer sunlight for a short time, but very long elongated winters based on the angle and the tilt. So the sunlight will be hidden away because of the shape of the earth and is blocked. So you have these long extents of darkness, and winter seasons are very harsh, especially in the southern hemisphere and Antarctica. Very, very harsh winters, very long winters. So seasonality is key, plus the weather patterns, plus the insolation, and latitude to create our daily life in certain areas of the world.